Time to abandon ship.
Oh no!
Here we go.
Can I persuade you to join us for a drink? It's a tradition.
Here, here.
Jar Jar, homie, my main man, quickly. Before the Separatists attack, get into the escape pod.
Hey! This is escape, then we're the pod.
Welcome back to Star Wars Escape Pod and our first after show for the Bad Batch Season 3, the final season. We've got our friends Kyle and Kirk in the Escape Pod, as well as your co-host Blake. And we're super stoked to talk about the Bad Batch, the opener, and also Vancouver Fan Expo 2024. We're going to chat briefly about that at the start of things, just to get a catch up on how things went at the booth for ALKY Solutions and all the guests that we ran into. Kyle's got some good stories with some of the actors that showed up, like Aman Efstani and so many others. So we're going to get into things and dive right into that. Let's get into it.
Another happy landing.
All right, welcome back, and hello there, Blake.
Hello there indeed. Chut chut, new day,
Chut chut. Oh yes.
new season, very exciting. Kind of, this is like the real end of Clone Wars.
Yeah, that's actually kind of a crazy thought. This is like the end of George's legacy of starting the Clone Wars, and this being like this direct sequel show to that. You know, it's kind of bittersweet with this ending. I thought it was over with
Yeah.
Clone Wars, and then Bad Batch came along, and now it's ending. So pretty nuts. Welcome back, Kirk. Hello, sir.
Yo, yo, yo. Oh, g'day, g'day.
Joining us all the way from Galaxy's Edge. That accent
That's
that you
right.
hear,
Let's
it's
down under. That's right.
that's right. And hello there, Kyle.
Hello there.
Welcome back, sir. Was that a riff I heard?
Thank you. No, I thought that was on your end, but it did sound like a rift. I'm not sitting here jamming a guitar.
Fan Expo was this past weekend, and you know, it was pretty cool because I know that you guys had a booth there, and you know, I was there hanging out with you guys for a bit, and that was super fun. And you get around at the convention, you see a number of the actors from these shows and everything like that. So I was wondering if you had any good stories to share.
Yeah, well, there's quite a few because they had a lot of great people there this time. So Alex and I, we ended up getting to give Danny Trejo his Rancor Keeper lightsaber, which is our Vindicator. Right. So he asked us what lightsaber is. Yeah, like he's like, what's one is best fit for a Rancor Keeper? And I was like, I would say this one. And he's like, all right, I'll get that one. So that was a lot I
was at the event this weekend, and I didn't realize his real name was Danny Trejo because I've always just called him Machete. So I think it's worth just announcing that Machete from Spy Kids and
Yeah.
That's hilarious. Yeah, no, he's been in so much stuff, man.
A lot, man.
But he's a
400
super nice guy.
credits to say.
And get this, you know what? And you know what he said? He whispered to me because the last time that I saw him, I said that I would love to be able to go down to Trejo's Tacos, and he said that he's actually going to be trying to open one up here in Vancouver. And so I thought that was pretty cool. And so maybe we'll see a Trejo's Tacos up here in Vancouver, BC.
That would do super well because I think
man, for sure.
all the other taco places do really well around here. You know?
Yeah, tacos are tasty.
Yeah.
Everybody likes tacos.
Yeah.
Fantastic. I met Diana Lee. We're actually on Diana Lee's Instagram, so that was pretty cool.
Nice.
And yeah, and also we got to meet Emin. Emin's such a great guy, so he's really, really super nice.
Is he just like the
So
Twitter
yeah, it
shorts?
was just fantastic. He really is actually like his little Twitter shorts and his TikToks and stuff, man. So
Nice.
Emin is really just watching him on the panel. He was such a chill kind of guy, and you know,
Seems like a lot of fun. Someone you go to the movies with and hang out.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. He seems pretty casual.
you know, that's one thing I miss. I miss the panels. So you guys are lucky lucky you guys get to go sit down for that stuff. But it was so fun having you when you came over to the table.
Yeah.
and all of a sudden, you guys just went right to work.
Yeah. Oh, that was awesome.
Happy to help.
Happy to help. Yeah, we'll have to do it again for sure. Yeah. So,
Oh, heck yeah, man.
didn't you say Emin chose the Darth Maul saber?
Oh, yeah, he did. So he chose the Darth Maul saber, and we got it all weathered for him. We did a little extra stuff for him. But yeah, he absolutely loved it.
Did he request the weathering, or you did that yourself?
He didn't request the weathering, but when I showed it to him with the weathering, he was like, "Oh my God, I didn't know it. Like, this looks even more real." I was like, "Thank you, dude." So that was honestly super, super cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but no, he's like, so you're gonna be up in Calgary, right? I'm like, yep, we're definitely gonna be up in Calgary. He's like, all right, man, yeah, definitely, we're gonna come and stop by the table again.
Just pick out a few more.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, exactly.
I had a bit of a theory. I talked to you a bit about it briefly at the stand because I thought Edmund had requested it being weathered, and my theory was because his character Ezra maybe had like found Maul's old saber and like stolen it, and so it was supposed to be like an in-universe, like in his head canon sort of situation.
Yeah. Oh man, did he come up to you and he's like, I want the old master?
That's right.
No. He actually said, because what he wants to learn is learn how to do the spinning with a staff, so that when he gets back on like set and stuff like that, he's even more prepared. And I was like, oh, that's freaking sweet.
Oh, that's cool.
Because all he knows right now is basically one hand, and he's starting to learn two-handed swinging. So he's getting into second hand, but he's like, I want to learn how to do the staff swinging too. So there you go. Now he's like, I can use this for it.
Maybe
made him a training saber.
Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
Well,
sure.
we did. It is pixel though. So I did tell him, I was like, you don't really want to go dropping it.
Yeah, true enough.
You have to come back and order the other one at Calgary.
Yeah. There was a number of Star Wars actors there this past weekend. There was so Emin was there, Diana Lee, who plays what was the character's name? The Night Sister lady.
Oh, Morgan
Elsbeth. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, Morgan. Yeah.
Right. So Emin, famously Ezra Bridger, as well as Cameron Monaghan, who was there as Cal Kestis from the Jedi series, the video game series. And there's one more I'm missing. Giancarlo Esposito.
Yeah.
There was Cara Dune.
Oh yes, and
there was also
Cara Dune, of course. Gina Carano, yeah, she was there as well. Sadly, I missed the day that she was there. I was there on one of the days she was there. I just did not see her, and then she did a panel on the day that I wasn't there. But yeah, that's pretty neat. Lots of Star Wars people showing up, so that was good to see. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was good.
My favorite is that. My favorite is that you should see what our setup's going to look like now. So we've actually had to get a larger setup. So we've contacted all of the conventions that we're going to across Canada, and we said, look, we're going to actually need to double the size of our setups. Can we do that? And a bunch of them written back and said yes. So we're going to now have a double size setup, but it's also because of now we have so much memorabilia and stuff. Like we have so many pictures of all the people that have lightsabers from us that it's really, really, this setup's going to look great for the next one. I even have a big cartoon picture of Alex and me put onto a big thing that we can have behind us. It's going to look really cool.
Yeah, that's sweet. We gotta get you a little TV or something that you can show all those pictures on. Something
it's like
big.
slideshow thing you're thinking.
Yeah, something they can see a mile.
Oh,
away.
we do have one that's a little tiny one. That's one of those little moving picture screens. But it's nice to have the ones where it's like they're signed and everything.
Yeah,
I love all that stuff.
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's
and
like those old diners
we want
with all the famous people, right?
Oh yeah, like this person's eating here.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
those are cool. Yeah. Alex wants to meet Hayden because I got to meet him, but Alex wants to meet Hayden, and you know that box where where the one Darth Vader in it, where his fingerprints are still on it. You know how he got in that glass box.
The clonable saber. Yeah.
Yeah, she wants to have him sign the box. Yeah,
that's a good. Idea.
That one.
That is a good idea. Yeah. I mean, I want to meet Hayden.
See, keep the picture with it and have it signed.
If you ever meet him, please video call me at any hour.
I'll just be in the thing. Okay. Yeah. I'm going in right now. I'm going in right now.
Yeah. Oh man, I'm gonna.
That'd be so funny.
You gotta have the phone ready and just be like, hey, can I just call my buddy Josh real quick? And
no, you already gotta be on the call on like FaceTime or whatever, and Kyle just keep his phone in the top
in the breast pocket.
That's right.
Get the FOV.
Wait a second.
Oh, down here.
You know what'd be great? You know what'd be great? Nobody's ever taken a picture like that. I should, the next time I go to meet him, I'll have the camera out. We're looking at you. They're taking a picture of us.
That's hilarious.
I love the fact that anytime Hayden comes up in our conversations, all of us just start man crushing over him. You know,
fanboy real hard.
Yeah, exactly.
The prettiest Jedi.
Yeah, that's the best part. Oh, jeez.
That's exactly it.
I would think he only goes to the East Coast cons, right? Because he lives out there, or maybe like the big ones in California.
Yeah, he went to the Toronto Fan Expo, I think.
Because doesn't he live somewhat near there? At least he did.
He
I don't know
did.
if he does anymore.
Yeah, he did. Ontario somewhere.
Like Hamilton or something.
Right. Yeah, who knows? All right. Yeah. Thanks, Kyle, for that Fan Expo update. I assume things went pretty well, and
you seemed very busy whenever we visited. So.
Totally. Yeah.
It always is so busy at our table, and it's awesome because the people around us love it too. The like all the other vendors, because there's so many people at our stall that they all kind of check out the other little stalls around us.
Yeah.
And when we did our big draw, you should have seen how many people was on the other side of that camera this time. Like our raffle thing has gotten quite big.
Dang.
That thing's super fun. So we. Well, sorry, brother. Get this. The guy that did win, he was like...
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, pardon?
I was saying I just need to buy more tickets.
Oh, I was going to say the guy... No, well, there you go, that too. But I was going to say the guy that won, he didn't even want to buy a ticket, and it was his girlfriend. And she's like, fine, like, no, I want you to put in on this. Like, I really feel something that you're going to win and everything. And he's like, I never win crap. So she bought the tickets. And then when I called, he's like, there's no way. And I'm like, yeah, dude, no, man, come on, I don't win nothing. And I'm like, your girlfriend got you the tickets. My girlfriend remembered.
Whoa, that's awesome.
So that was yeah.
What was the prize?
Oh, what? The prize was like a $630 Obi-Wan Kenobi Episode 3 full replica pixelated saber.
Nice. Wow.
Yeah.
Good score.
Damn,
Yeah.
this guy's girlfriend's got one up on him for the rest of his life now.
Yeah, I know.
Remember that time I won the saber and you told me not to enter?
Well, now I
you
have
need
the
to
high
give me
ground.
something else. Yes, exactly.
That's exactly it. The poor guy's never going to live it down. And Newfoundland's in April. There we go. And it's our first one out there, so this will be a good one to talk about, actually. And Newfoundlanders love hearing about themselves.
Interesting.
Those
Okay.
newfies.
Yeah.
They're the only ones that
man, those
understand each
newfies.
other.
Awesome.
That's quite true.
So, what are the dates for those ones for the Newfoundland convention?
Okay, so for it's called Sci-Fi on the Rock, and those ones are April 19th, 20th, and 21st. And so get this, we're going to be flying out there on like the 16th or the 17th of April. We're going to do the expo on the 21st. We're going to fly home on the 23rd, sleep that night, then get in the truck, and we're driving straight to Calgary for the Calgary Fan Expo.
You're driving from Newfoundland to Calgary?
No, we're gonna fly in from Newfoundland on the 22nd, sleep for the night. Oh yeah, no way, man. That's like 2-week drive or something.
I was gonna say,
but yeah, we're gonna sleep for about 8 hours and go.
Dang.
It's gonna. Yeah, thank you. And literally, so right from Calgary, we're gonna drive to Banff, spend 2 nights, and then go right to Prince George for the Northern Fan Con. Man. So this is a long year this year.
Yeah, you guys be busy, but you're gonna get a lot of time getting your name out there. So that's good too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And now get this, we even have a couple of conventions contacting us asking if we want to go to them now. Nice. So we're gonna be doing one on the island. And one in Lethbridge.
Nice.
Oh, cool. Hey.
All right. Episode 1 of season 3 is called Confined. And right before we dive into the breakdown here, I'm just going to give a quick synopsis, as we normally do, doing these after shows, so people at home can follow along and just kind of recollect their memories on on what happened in this particular episode. So there we go. Following her capture, Omega becomes part of the Imperial cloning division against her will. One of her tasks consists of taking blood samples of clones alongside Emery Carr. However, Omega becomes suspicious when Emery also takes Omega's blood, only for Nala Se to discard the sample in secret. She also evades the guards to speak with fellow Bad Batch member Crosshair, who vainly attempts to discourage Omega from escaping Mount Tantus. Omega also befriends a hound she names Batcher. When the Imperials decide to euthanize Batcher, Omega frees the hound, which escapes into the jungles of Wayland. Dr. Hemlock warns Omega that further defiance will result in consequences for Crosshair. And that is the first episode of Season 3. What are your initial thoughts on this episode when you first watched it?
Well, I will say the very first thing I noticed is because we just finished watching way too many episodes of Rebels. And so the first thing I noticed was, wow, this show has a really high budget.
Yeah.
Like just across the board, like lighting, textures, the animation quality, the detailed models. Like I hadn't noticed in the previous seasons, and it's been a while since I've seen them, since they came out. So if it's up to the same quality, like that went over my head. They definitely put a lot of money into this.
Yeah.
And the next thing, kind of right in line with that, is I really felt like at least this season, maybe going back, I'm not entirely sure from memory, is a way higher audience that they're going for. Everything was a lot more serious in tone.
Absolutely.
To like Rebels and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, well, making that comparison between Rebels and Clone Wars was all right. It was still like, Rebels has always been a step down in terms of like targeted age.
Yeah,
right.
But even Clone Wars was still targeting your kind of preteens.
Yeah.
Well, I felt like this was not trying to get preteens or even teens to watch it. I think they're trying to get the original Clone Wars audience to watch it.
Yeah.
So it's more of a young adult, even like
20-year-olds.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
A little more gritty instead of that the announcer voice in the beginning.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
War.
On the top of Mount Tantus is a hidden Bad Batcher.
That being said, that was a lot of fun. That like 50s kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like 40s, I guess. Sorry, like World War II.
Yeah. It's something I really liked about the first episode here was just the tone. I don't know about you guys, but I know. I mean, I don't want to make a direct comparison to anything quite like Andor, but I mean, because that was on a different level.
Yeah, 100%.
It was very similar to that in the sense that like the tone of this repetitive prisoner in a cell sort of idea kind of got translated into the animated show.
And they both had very Blade Runner-y vibes.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah. What did you think about that, Kirk?
I was literally going to make the same comparison there. I thought it was quite similar to Andor.
Yeah. I really liked that whole that creative choice, and you got it. Oh, you got it on your notes as well.
My note also says almost like Andor.
Nice. Yeah, and something I also really liked was the redeveloping character of Crosshair. I feel like this has definitely been the most colorful character out of the whole batch, in terms of like what this character's been through, how this character's grown and changed again. And I think the most bland character, other than Tech, was probably Wrecker, only because he's just sort of
he's just simple.
The gung-ho, like funny, strong guy. Yeah, who's sort of witty.
Well, he's the comedic relief guy.
Yeah,
like the tanky comedic relief.
Totally.
There's always one big guy in the back that's always cracking jokes.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. Yeah, for sure. And this episode really, well, I mean, this episode, and I know Kyle, you've watched maybe a few minutes of the second one, but it's like this episode and the next really gave me this idea of like, wow, the batch is really like broken now. Like there's not really a whole lot.
I was gonna say Crosshair, like it's so sad that he's just given up, and I'm glad that Omega's like, no, like I'm not letting you, and I think that's going to be the thing that's going to pull them all back together for whatever's going to happen in the end. Totally. You know what I mean? It's going to be Omega that's going to be the real thing that did actually keep them together through the whole thing.
Yeah. I also found just the plot line of having Omega back with Nala Se trying to hide something about Omega again. This is where it's interesting for me.
Well, from the beginning, I mean, we've been wondering like, what's the deal with Omega? Why was she made? We never see any female clones in the entire movies, right? The prequels. All of a sudden, there's this one female clone, and we find out there's at least two.
Yeah.
Because the woman who she's working with, not Nala Se, but the other woman,
Emery.
She's also also a female clone.
Yeah. She
And-
revealed that in the season 2 finale.
Is that okay? Because I couldn't remember if that was a new reveal or not.
Yeah, well, the most recent one.
So how many Lady Jangles are out there?
Who knows? Who knows? I mean, Emery Carr is one of them. Omega's another. It's possible that Omega is, maybe the first, and Emery's maybe like another one.
No, we think Emery will be first because she's older, right? Oh, but Omega doesn't have the.
That's right. She doesn't have the
increased aging.
That's right. Yeah, she's basically unmodified, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she actually answers to that. Some quotes here. She basically says like she was sent away, and then she was requested by another. I assume it was a Kaminoan to be their apprentice, same as what happened to Omega with Nala.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So this episode was very. It was very almost captivating to watch. And this is a kid, right? Like I can't imagine having. I don't know how old Omega's supposed to be, but can you imagine a kid in prison? Like, that's basically what this episode was.
What I saw was like straight grooming. You know what? Like, we got to take away your toy and everything. You know what I mean? Like, you can't have any of this. It's going to cause emotion. But you're not in prison.
Right.
But we got to take this away from you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. It was like, oh yeah, you're free, but not free to leave.
Right. Yeah, it's like how you train a child soldier, right? You would like force them to live in a very strict routine.
Yeah, absolutely.
If I was Omega, right when she got caught letting that animal go, I would have turned around and been like, well, I cared for it. So you said I had to let that shit go.
Yeah.
That's how I would have put that. Exactly.
Got you on that one.
Batcher. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Well, anyone got anything else to add to this?
Was it Batcher because it was bad, so they were a bad Batcher?
I think it's Batcher, named after the Bad Batch.
That's what I'm wondering.
Yeah.
Which is hilarious.
At first, with her accent, I thought she was saying badger.
Badger.
It's like, man, I guess that's a really ugly looking badger. Like, that was Badger.
I think this episode, I know Kyle hasn't seen the other couple that have come out afterwards, but this episode works a lot better as like all of them combined into one. But I guess they just had to release them in 3 separate episodes.
Yeah, this one was
oh, great. Okay, well, I'm 10 minutes into the second one.
Oh, there you go.
I'm 10 minutes in. I was mashing it because I had about 2 or 3 episodes left before the end of the last season, so I made sure I mashed those. So when you talked about the animation, no, the animation was definitely not. Every season it got better. So the 3rd season the animation's way better.
Yeah, it's always impressive. Every season that goes by, they just continually get better.
And tighter.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to figure out the location of this science lab because it's like the mountain that's been kind of cut in half, right?
Yeah, well, it's no, it's not the the mountain. Yeah, the mountain's cut. It's got like a slit inside of it, and then it's like basically a volcano because the middle is like a cavern, right?
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Is this because I know is this not where we were last season? The same lab?
Yeah. So
because I thought the
last season they were there,
right? Because they had all the commandos.
Yeah, they snuck in and they saved Gregor, I think.
Okay.
And that was a like midway through season 2, but where Tech died and where that was on Edu, or I think, right? Or not Edu, maybe Iriadu. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I always get the two mixed up. Yeah, Tarkin's homeland.
At Edo, the restaurant.
Right. Tarkin's homeland. And then after that loss, they go back, that is Wrecker, Hunter, Omega. They go back to Sid's parlor or whatever. Sid's, and then Sid, it turns out she had betrayed the Bad Batch. And then Hawkland or Lockland or whatever his name is. I'm so great at this. He comes and basically takes Omega, who decides to go back for her friends after they get split up or whatever.
You talking about Hemlock?
And then Hemlock, yeah, maybe, I don't know. Who knows?
Close.
Who knows? And then anyway, she's taken back to Tantus, and the other two would have no idea where they would have taken her, right?
Okay.
So that's why when we pick up in the second episode, they're still looking for her after all this time. They have no clue that would be the place.
Back to the same spot.
Yeah.
Okay, because I was wondering that. Because I thought we were going to lead into them trying to break in to save her, but they don't have any idea where she is. So we don't get too far into that yet because that's episode 2, but still.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. So it is the same place. I wasn't sure. I found that very confusing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good to know.
Well, fellas, if you guys are about to talk about episode 2, I'm gonna bow out.
Oh yeah,
because I can finish it.
I've got a couple more news.
Okay, all right, go for it.
Okay.
So I'm curious, especially because like I want to know Kyle's take on this because he hasn't seen the other two yet. What do you guys think is going on with the blood? Because I found it weird. Sorry, go ahead, Kyle.
Well, I was gonna say, like, I did find it weird that she took the one set of blood from Omega and hid it, but I think what they're probably trying to do is, genetic altercations, trying to look for that thing that makes the Emperor live for so freaking long or something. They're probably in the starting processes of that or something.
Yeah, no, that's a good assumption. Yeah,
I'm feeling the same direction. But what what really threw me off though is because whenever they show the screen of the blood sample, it's always a different clone, right? So like they're searching through the clones. Mm-hmm. So does that mean they're going through like every single clone, like millions of them?
Yep.
And then why would you need to take Omega's blood every day?
I want to talk about, well, that's the thing is like,
what's up with that? I had that feeling as well.
Yeah. I don't know. That is a bit of a strange thing.
I don't know. That seemed like a big plot hole to me, but
yeah.
Well, let's okay. In real life, if somebody's going to take a vial of your blood every single day, your body's not going to reproduce that vial every single day. So maybe they're like breaking her down, making her weak or something. Like, I mean, that'd be like real life. It's not Star Wars, but yeah, I don't know why they take it every day for genetic stuff.
I have some more speculation about this blood thing, but I don't want to say it in this. I want to wait till the third episode. Yeah.
Okay. I wrote it down here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's do Pablo Points and Poodoos, shall we?
Oh, there's one last thing that we probably could brought up last season. So I'll start off by saying I was wrong because originally the voice of Hemlock I thought was Sam Witwer, but it wasn't. It sounded very similar to him. But if you notice, his costume looks like Starkiller, the original Starkiller costume with the metal plates over the shoulder. Yeah,
I never clued into that. Mm-hmm. Coincidence?
I don't know.
I think not.
I think you're reaching far with that one.
Yeah, I'm just desperate to have Starkiller back. I just thought that was maybe like a neat little nod. Maybe it's complete coincidence. I have no idea.
Yeah.
Starkiller's the astronomer's Pluto. We called it a planet for a while, and then all of a sudden it's no longer a planet. But some of us were still like, it's still a fucking planet.
That's right.
All right, Kyle, before you sign out, Kyle, I got to get your Pablo Points and Poodoos. And to remind all of our listeners, this is how the score system works. It's a scale of 7. 3 Pablo Poodoos is the worst of the worst of the worst. And then moving up from there, you got 2 Pablo Poodoos, 1 Pablo Poodoo, and then a Bendu. Bendu is like a 50% score. And then you got Pablo Points. 1 Pablo Point is like good. 2 Pablo Points is great. And 3 Pablo Points is the best of the best of the best. So what would you award this episode, my friend?
I'd go about, I'd give it a 2. I liked the grittiness of it. I like the fact that you can see like Crosshair, again, as you said, like dynamic as a character, but this is his like give up moment. But it's also, Omega's time to be like, no, you're not giving up, and be a really good strength point. So for me, the dynamics of the characters was really good. I like the animation. I really like the animation of Bad Batch. So I'd give it a 2.
Sweet. All right. What about you, Kirk?
I'm going to go with a 1 for now, just because I think this story works more as like a 3-episode thing. But yeah, 1 or 2 is somewhere in between there.
All right. Yeah, Blake.
Nope, that's fair. I can see where Kirk's coming from. I'm gonna go a little higher. I think probably about a 2, same as Kyle, because this is specifically the kind of Star Wars I just really get into and really enjoy it, because it's kind of pasted a bit in the middle where you can try to make these connections, but you're still getting a really good quality product. And I know a huge issue with last season felt like a lot of filler.
Yeah.
So this is I agree that it works better as a 3-part, but this is still, to me, like A-tier Bad Batch.
Right.
Even I'm just saying animation in general, and then Star Wars. Animation.
Yeah, for sure. I think I would go with 1.5 myself. I really enjoyed this episode, the tone, the pacing, everything like that. Obviously, it definitely works best when you pair it up with the following 2 episodes, but in context. But yeah, I mean, as a standalone story, I think solid, north of good. Absolutely. Yeah. All right, Kyle, that's the end for episode 1. So we'll let you go and finish the remaining 2 episodes. So have fun with that.
As soon as I'm off, that's exactly what I'm going to do. But before I go, have you guys checked out Star Wars Heroes for your phone? I just got the Bad Batch group so that I can play with that group. It's fun. And if you guys ever get on it, we can make our own little Star Wars guild or whatever you want to call it.
Are you talking
And,
about
yeah.
Galactic Heroes, like the mobile game, or Galaxy of Heroes?
Is that, I think that's what it's called. I just got, it's from EA.
Oh yeah, Star
And
Wars
it's,
Galaxy of
I
Heroes.
got that one. It's
Yeah.
I just got the entire Bad Batch crew. So today I just finished it, getting the Bad Batch crew. Yeah. So anyway, fellas,
I'll give it a whirl.
Sounds fun.
there you go. Yeah. Awesome. Well, you guys have a good one. I'm gonna finish off the rest of these 2 shows. And well, if you guys are saying, everything's gonna be good with all the 3, and I'm already liking this first one. Yeah, this is gonna be a good trilogy, tryout.
It's all downhill from here. Good luck.
Oh, thanks.
Lots more Pabus coming.
All
your
right,
way.
Kirk.
You'll enjoy it, man.
Yeah.
Oh crap. Awesome.
All right, see you, buddy.
Thank you, guys. Cheers. Have a good one, everybody.
All right,
Bye.
There we go. Took 2 exits.
Out the airlock. He has no idea what's coming.
That's right.
All right, let's get into episode 2.
Okay, now we can really get into this blood thing. I'm really curious about this. You guys' takes on it. Okay.
After gaining intel from, this is this episode's episode 2 called Paths Unknown. All right, let's see. After gaining intel from the Durand family, Hunter and Wrecker travel to an unknown planet with an abandoned Imperial cloning facility Hemlock was in charge of. The pair runs into Mox, Zeke, and Stack, clone cadets that were held prisoner by Hemlock before managing to escape as the Empire destroyed the facility. Zeke helps Hunter and Wrecker enter the facility while evading Slithervines, an experiment gone awry by the Empire. Meanwhile, Mox and Stack manage to find the Marauder. While Zeke is gathering intel, the trio are attacked by the Slithervines, which are revealed to be a huge monster. Mox and Stack are able to extract the 3 before defeating the Slithervines with explosives. Hunter then promises to take the cadets to Pabu, the ill-famed Pabu. Oh my goodness!
Well, we had a surprise guest appearance on Pabu, which I'll talk about in a moment.
What?
I know. It's secret return of a character we haven't seen since Revenge of the Sith. We had sumo wrestler Mace Windu.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, sumo. So wait.
I thought like that guy came up on screen, and I genuinely thought, wait, is that Mace Windu? Like the Clone Wars animation, like look of him looked so similar.
Wait, what?
Which guy?
Which guy is this?
In the opening?
When they went back to Pabu, like on Pabu, there's a guy that looked exactly like they were chatting to him. He looked exactly like Mace Windu.
Dude, man, it's been so long since I've seen that episode, and I've like completely put it out of my head because it was so bad that I can't even remember this. But I'll take your word.
No,
for
it was on. I'm pretty sure. I think it was on this episode. I swear it was on. It was on this episode.
I didn't see Pabu in this episode unless I looked down at my phone or something like that while it was on screen. But who knows?
Pabu.
I don't. Yeah, did we see? We didn't see Pabu in this
previous
episode.
episode.
I don't think so.
Previous episode.
Maybe I'm tripping. I can't remember. Anyway, we'll continue.
Pabu.
Kirk, have you just been watching the wrong season?
Kirk, I think we all deal with the PTSD of Pabu differently, and it's okay if you start seeing things.
I promised. I saw it. It was real.
The ghosts of Pabu.
Oh man, yeah. So I love how Hunter's just like,
kids, I know a safe place where tsunamis can't kill you.
Pretty sure you can swim.
Yeah. So, anyways,
get back to this episode. So this was a new crime syndicate that are all Davronians.
No, so I don't think it's a new syndicate. Like the Davronians have been around for a long time, but at the same time,
that wasn't a syndicate.
No, it's like
species.
When this character was first introduced in season 1, I think it was like this specific Davronian guy with the chopped off horn, right? Mm-hmm. He was introduced a while ago. I think it was season 2 or season 1. It was one of the 2 seasons. And that particular guy, I think at one point it was like revealed that he had like his own sort of family crime syndicate thing,
mafia or whatever.
Yeah, something like that. So it's cool that we got to like see that. Mm-hmm. And I recently thought of when we saw the inner chambers of that, like the design of that throne room with the laser floor and like the execution button. It was very reminiscent of like the Jabba's palace trap in in the floor, right? But
yeah, that's
but
better
even
than I was gonna say.
but even better, right?
Say
Because
Mr. Burns' office.
it means like because like Jabba's thing, like people walk up to Jabba and like they don't know that they can just fall into a cave with a rancor, right?
Right.
But these people, anytime they have to speak to the head honcho of this family crime syndicate, they are
standing on
fate's door kind of thing,
and they
right?
don't get an option; they have to.
Yeah, and they don't have an option, right? So I loved that idea. I love that, like, okay, you're coming to me with something, you better be prepared to put up with my anger and my wrath, right? And I just love that whole, like, just the fear of, like, say if you work at like a really intense environment place and like you're just afraid of your boss or whatever, it just kind of put that in like a physical, like representative,
visually.
Visually just representative right there of like, this is the fear of approaching like the head honcho boss. And I'm sure like all the employees working for this person have to do the same thing. Like they all got
that's why the first person they show is they're killing the captain and the guard or whatever.
Yeah. Furthermore, the other button, which was like the bridge that connects that platform to the main like area.
Yeah.
That was a really good like extra bit as well. Cause I was like, oh, that's cool. Like every time there's like one or the other gets used maybe.
Yeah.
Right.
But what if it was your first day on the job and you got them mixed up?
That would suck.
Oh, hey, Mom, thanks for visiting. Come here. Mom!
Oh, jeez.
I was wondering because at first I thought the woman, the queen, the head of the syndicate, whatever she goes by, at first I thought she was wearing some sort of crown, but I realized that I think that's just the female model for Davronian. They have different horns. Is that right? Is that what you noticed?
It's possible she was wearing something
Well,
like over
her
top of
horns.
her
They
horns?
came more from the front, and then looked more like
yeah, for sure.
What's her name from Disney?
Right, Maleficent. Or something?
Yeah, thank you. She looked more like that.
Yeah,
instead of the
you're right,
Satan-y looking male model.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I liked that as well.
It was a cool design.
It was.
I really liked that a lot.
Because we've only seen male Davronians.
I think
before.
so. I was trying to think if they've ever released with the female.
I don't think we've seen one before. So yeah, it was very cool.
I liked it. It was a really good design.
Yeah. And then I liked the spire of the room, like how all of the what do you call it? Like a royal, like the party, like the people that hang out around like a court, like a king's court.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So like her court was all kind of like in this tower, right? Like with booths that kind of overlooked the
very Maleficent.
Very well recently, I don't know about you, like I've recently been watching Halo, and there was recently like this location where like this giant room full of like various pirates and stuff, like the pirate lords all kind of gather and get together, and they all sort of have a similar structure where like they each have like a box, like at a sports arena, they all have like a box.
Private box, yeah.
Yeah, and they all have this thing that overlooks like a stadium, and they question people in there. They get them to fight to the death kind of thing, and various other like crazy things. And it reminded me of that, and I was like, oh, that's so cool. It's just like this very intimidating environment for somebody who doesn't belong there to walk in, not only standing on like a death floor, but looking up and seeing all these criminals just looking down at you.
You know what I thought it reminded me of that room and kind of the layout with her throne being high up? Cusco's palace.
Cusco! Boom, baby.
That's right.
Yeah.
Kronk.
That's the guy who fell.
So good. This episode was kind of cool. I liked seeing the role of Hunter and Wrecker take on as like basically bounty hunters, like slinging in that one pike guy.
Yeah, but
that was cool.
They didn't go by that, even though they technically were bounty hunters. They called themselves just mercenaries.
Yeah, they call themselves mercenaries, but like it was evident. It was like, okay, that was a bounty.
Probably because they're not officially in the bounty hunters guild.
That's true. So they just took the job, right? But I thought that was a cool kind of. We never seen them in that desperate position before. Taking on bounties for information. That was cool. Yeah,
the Bad Batch is really at their lowest point here, I find.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, very broken, very desperate.
And I will clarify what I was saying before, because before I watched this season, actually between episode 1 and 2, just before I started watching episode 2, I was like, I can't remember everything, so I watched a bunch of recaps on the Bad Batch, and then that guy specifically reminded me of season 2, and that's why I thought they took the guys back to Pabu to deliver them. But that's not what happened.
You know what? You know what's funny about
Pabu took a dark turn, turned into a giant volcano.
So this episode we had 3 kid clones show up, younger guys. Cadets, yeah. And we've seen cadets in the Clone Wars series. We've also seen a young Boba Fett as well, which was voiced by Daniel Logan. And I gotta ask, because right when the first 2 showed up, immediately I was like, I don't hear Daniel Logan. And then when the third guy showed up, I was like, that's Daniel Logan.
Yeah, I noticed it too.
Did you notice that?
Yeah, I'm like, wow, it sounds just like Daniel Logan.
Yeah. Like it's like the one guy. So Kirk, Daniel Logan's the guy who plays young Boba Fett in Attack of the Clones. And
that's right.
So he voices young Boba Fett in the Clone Wars animated show, and I've seen that show so many times that now I can like pick his voice out of like the group of young clone cadets.
Okay.
And so like when the first 2 showed up, I was listening. I was like, neither of these guys sound like Daniel Logan, but I wonder if that's intentional. And then it sure enough was, because the actual like Daniel Logan shows up as like their leader guy, and I was like, oh, that's him. But there.
It's funny how they have different voice actors for what essentially is the same person.
Well, in Clone Wars, I think Daniel Logan did all of them.
That's
and
what
he
I
just
thought.
did variations, but yeah.
Okay, 'cause I thought that was the case because I just didn't notice the clone voice, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh, it's the same guy, and then I just didn't notice that the other 2 weren't him.
Yeah. I think it was a wise decision almost to do it, only because maybe they wanted to paint this picture of like as they grow older, they do in fact sort of become a little more different than each other. Maybe I don't know. Like
I feel like they go through puberty the same.
Yeah, who knows, right? Like
unless like one's taking a bunch of like steroids or something.
Yeah, or maybe they're not the same age at all. Maybe like they're all slightly different ages.
Could
right?
be.
So, but I liked the fact that they all played it by different people, because it means that, and like D. Bradley Baker can do it because he's been doing it for eons, playing all the roles himself and talking to himself and different people, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, someone like Daniel Logan might not be so used to that, right? So it's nice that they got other people to be in the room with him.
Oh, maybe that's why. It could be it. Because someone to talk lines back and forth.
Right. Well, because they record the episodes like they do with radio. Like they have like an audio book or something. Like they have all the people, or like a live radio show. Like they have all the people in the one room, and they all feed off each other, right?
And I believe D. Bradley Baker, plays all of the roles simultaneously.
Yes, he does.
Which is crazy.
Exactly.
So he's talking to himself.
Yeah.
Man, for this show, he's just talking to himself for 25 minutes straight.
Yeah, he's the star of this show. Like 100%. Yeah.
I was actually sad to find out one of the credits I was looking. Actually, so I noticed instead of giving him individual credits, it just says clones, and then it's his name. So they didn't give him like all the Bad Batch characters and then all the side clones,
because it would look ridiculous.
It would just be like 50 names that are all just him, which I think would be hilarious.
Commander Cody, Captain Wrecker,
just all of them.
Yeah, all of them. What do you guys think of this monster creature?
They basically just stole Gravemind from Halo.
Gravemind from Halo. Okay, yeah. Kirk, what did you think of this one?
It's just another forgettable monster for me. I couldn't really see as much just because of the whole episode was quite dark.
It was
quite dimly lit. But it kind of reminded me of that. Nothing. I know we're never going to see it again, so it kind of just flashed my mind.
I thought it was very reminiscent of the Pirates of the Caribbean Kraken. I thought it was very cool.
Well, Sarlacc. Is that what you mean?
Well.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Like, it did kind of look Sarlacc.
Yeah, it did look Sarlacc for sure, but at the same time, like the mouth and everything with all those teeth, like it was very, like if you look up Kraken from Pirates of the Caribbean 3 or 2, whichever one, 2, it'll be like almost identical. Like all.
You know what else has that mouth? Rathtars.
The Rathtar.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I thought so. Yeah,
you got it.
The Rathtars, yeah.
I'm proud of myself. Yeah, I was just thinking of that. I'm like, what moves like that? And then I just remembered. We only saw the Rathtars in episode 7, didn't we?
In the films. They came up in
in the films,
and they've come up one other time, I think, too. Was it the books? I can't remember.
No, I think, were they in Bad Batch at any point?
Maybe. I know they've came up more than they should have.
They've been in some books.
The point where they've seemed weirdly common.
Yeah. No, I like this creature. It's kind of cool. Like I thought at first it was going to be kind of cheesy, like having another monster episode. But
and how they kind of stole the vines thing from Last of Us.
Or maybe I was
it.
thinking of Drengir, High Republic stuff. Like I was thinking like, oh, maybe this has something to do with like the plants, you know, from the monster plants. But it ended up being kind of more interesting than that. It wasn't a plant at all. It was just like super long tentacles that this thing had.
I thought it was pretty cool.
It's a cool idea.
How I would explain it, it is a Sarlacc mixed together with Gravemind, because it kind of has the centerpiece, same as Gravemind or the Sarlacc, but modeled after the Sarlacc. But the tentacles have been replaced with these vines that grow out, and it's very Gravemind / Flood-like, where if you cut it off and they turn into a little popcorn flood that try to infect you.
Yeah, and those little things were basically like alien face hugger aliens. Like those.
Yeah, there were some.
If you cut off a vine piece, it transforms into this like.
Let's combine all of the sci-fi monster aliens in one thing.
I would love to be in that meeting, you know, like just to like hear what everyone has to say about like making like the best monster possible for like, you know, this episode.
I genuinely think it was a cool idea.
Yeah.
It'd make a really good like horror setting.
Yeah. That aside though, like there really wasn't a crazy amount of substance this episode other than saving 3 more clones and putting them with Pabu.
Yeah. I do want to know more about the clone cadets. It got me wondering about them just in general, because after Revenge of the Sith, we don't really know anything about what happened to them. Did they just get dumped? Did they?
Well, that's what the first 2 seasons of the show was about. Was
not
like
the clones, but not the cadets specifically, because the cadets would be significantly less useful to the Empire than full soldiers.
Yeah. Oh, well, I think that's why, like, even more so, like the cadets just, you know, instead of becoming troops, they just stay at the base and they get transformed from, or they get transported from testing facility to testing facility, like all Hemlock's experimental places. And that's kind of what that one kid was saying. Like, oh, it's like, oh yeah, they took our blood and we were just basically, you know, doing nothing. Yeah. And then they bombarded the place, right? And they
I was gonna say in the first part, but it wasn't sure if it was episode 1 or 2. When Batcher was, I think, or maybe it was episode 3. It's all blurred together. But when he was set free, the animal,
the first one,
that security system at that very tight, it's just a tunnel that goes outside. Like it's just this small tunnel that goes outside. So if you just go out of that, there's like they had, I think, and I won't say it yet, but they had a little bit more of a security measure that they showed in the next episode. But it's just a really long tunnel, and why does that even exist?
I gotta
why does it even exist? Like, isn't it a cage?
I'll bring that up in the third one.
It's so odd
because I do have something to say about that. That's a funny thing. Okay, Pablo Points and Poodoo for this one. I'm gonna award it a 1.
Yeah, I mean, the driving force of this one was definitely that the monster was cool, at least for me.
Yeah,
I'll give it 1.5, just solely based on that. And I was curious about the cadets and stuff. I thought that was a cool, you know, light shined on something I hadn't thought about before.
Right. Yeah. What about you, Kirk?
I'm going to give this one a Bendu. Actually, I'm going to go right in the middle. I don't think there was much here that got me super interested, but there was just a little point. Again, if this was like a one giant episode, I think it'd make a bit more sense. But yeah, there's nothing too good, nothing too bad in this episode for me.
Fair enough.
Yeah, that's fair. Kind of a side note that this episode got me thinking about. I don't think current canon Star Wars, correct me if I'm wrong, has talked about the fact, or like approached the clones from the perspective that during the war, and this is almost immediately after, so I'm going to group it in, with the fact that they're essentially like 10 to 12-year-old boys or kids.
Yeah, well, they've talked about that in the Clone Wars a few times.
Did they actually talk about specifically the fact that they are, even though they're hardened soldiers and they appear to be grown adults, that they're actually would have the mental capacity of a 10-year-old
I don't think they've dived deep into that.
Yeah,
I know in like maybe one of the books I do recollect
Karen
something.
Travis's novels, the Commander novels, talked about that quite a bit. And I think it mostly came up because one of them had a relationship with a Jedi, and it was from her perspective that she was noticing this, and she kept forgetting that was the case because it's so.
Right.
You're talking to someone who looks like they're 26. You're not going to think, oh, they're actually 13.
Right, yeah.
But I always thought that was such an interesting narrative point, and it hasn't been touched like story wise integrated very well or talked about.
It would be nice if they talked about that. I think in this show. This show is probably the best avenue to do that.
It is now that Clone Wars is
Yeah.
done, quotations.
Yeah, for sure. But also Clone Wars didn't have the time to do that necessarily. Whereas
What are you
like,
talking about? They had like 6 seasons.
yeah, but every single one of them felt like it was just like telling another
There is enough time.
another crucial story of the war, and like I'm sure there's a lot of fluff episodes where they could have gotten to it, but I like Bad Batch though. Like we've gotten to know these clones almost better than any other clone other than Rex, right? And so like I feel like this is the show that it could happen or could have happened so far. But I mean,
like, man, because just think about the fact that those cadets that they're doing, you know, they're training to be soldiers or whatever. They look to be 10, 12, but they're probably only like 5 or 6.
I think what really put into perspective for me was in the first season of the Bad Batch, Omega says to Crosshair and Hunter, I think, that she was there when they were born.
Yeah.
And that she is basically watched them grow up.
Yeah.
Right. And that to me put it into perspective because I always look at Omega as the little kid.
Right.
But in actual fact, she's just a non-battle hardened regular human being, right? Whereas like the others, like just thrown into war kind of thing, born for what they do, right? And that's all they know. So they've become quite mature, right? But to Omega, who's been in a lab her whole life, she also doesn't know what it's like to be a kid because when she meets Hera for the first time, she's like, "Oh, what's this? It's like a toy? Like, oh, like you can do stuff with your life? Like like you want to be a pilot? Oh, that's cool." Like, and she never really given thought to the idea of like living free because the only other time she's had to live is on the run, right? And so like I think that's where it kind of came full circle to me of like, oh yeah, like these guys are so like young and still like
their life is very regimented.
Their life is I guess short still, right? Like and Omega's or been through so much and she's being perceived as the kid when in actual fact she's so seeing her in the prison and stuff is like, dang, there's some like deep stuff there. But all right, let's move on to episode 3, shall we?
Let's do it.
Shadows of Tantus. Before Emperor Palpatine's arrival at Mount Tantus, Nala Se warns Omega that she must escape the facility. After Emery takes a sample of Omega's blood, Nala Se urges Omega to steal a shuttle and escape or else her life will be in danger and provides her datapad for access to the facility. More like she suggests for her to steal it. Palpatine arrives to learn about the progress of Project Necromancer. Omega fails to destroy the blood sample but manages to free Crosshair. Upon learning that all shuttles are grounded because of Palpatine's visit, Omega and Crosshair escape through the Lurka kennel chutes. Emery attempts to stop them but is stunned by Crosshair, inadvertently triggering an alarm. After neutralizing the search team, Crosshair and Omega steal the shuttle, or a shuttle, but end up being pursued. But after learning from Emery that Omega's blood has a high M count, Hemlock calls off the pursuit. Two big things being name dropped here. M count being midi-chlorian count, as well as Project Necromancer.
Which we've heard before, right?
Project Necromancer, we can start with that. So and then we'll move on to the Lurka kennel shoots, Kirk, because I have something to say about that. Project.
Wait, the which one?
the Lurka kennel shoots, like
doggy door.
The doggy doors. That you're talking about? Yeah,
that's right.
So Project Necromancer was last brought up in season 3 of The Mandalorian.
Okay.
This is the episode called Shadow Council or The Shadow Council, and I love that this is being brought up because we've always suspected that Project Necromancer had something to do with Moff Gideon's clones of himself, in that season finale. So assuming that he used the research of Project Necromancer for his own gain, it means that Project Necromancer was always dedicated to cloning, right? And the fact that Palpatine is showing up to Mount Tantus to check on his Project Necromancer is very highly, I guess, suspected to be his contingency plan for cloning himself.
For Rise of Skywalker.
I
mean, the name makes sense because necromancy, which is raising the dead.
Yeah. So
you know what? This just makes me realize more that freaking Palpatine spent 50 to almost 100 years doing this plan only to get dusted by Rey in like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
He didn't know who he was messing with. His own granddaughter, apparently.
So granddaughter.
Because
I
was wondering the whole time, because like we see they go to check on the project and go down that creepy corridor with all the what do they call the ray shields?
Oh, the laser gates. Yeah,
that's right. And they get to it, and there's all these tube capsule things. They open up. You don't see it, just a bright light that comes out, and it got me thinking: is that Ray's dad?
So yeah, there's a really good, assuming that, because there's no way that Palpatine would make clones with growth or aging enhancements intentionally, right? The only way that he would have clones that would accelerate in age is because they're aging and decaying. You know, the process isn't working, right? And in episode 9, that's part of the problem. It's like he can't sustain himself in a cloned body very long before needing to transfer over to another body, however that works, right? So that's why his whole like plan of, you know, using Rey as a vessel instead is supposedly supposed to work, because she is a genetic offspring of a failed clone of his that ended up turning out all right in the sense that it was a successful human being that didn't die off right away. But the problem being is he didn't have enough midichlorians to be a worthy vessel, right? So I think we read the Shadows of the Sith book. Is that what it's called? With Luke and Lando and Rey's parents?
I believe so. I always get the names mixed up.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure it's that one.
Yeah, so
that sounds right.
In that book, I think they revealed his name.
Squib.
Yeah,
I was thinking the name.
Yeah, so Rey's
a non-Force user.
Rey's dad his name is Dathan, and like Nathan except D, so Dathan. And there was a really good chance that because he looked like he was maybe 40 years old, like when in those flashback scenes, which is when Rey was a kid, or maybe in his mid-30s, but like those flashbacks happen when Rey was like a really young girl, which means that was probably around 10 years or so after episode 6, right? Or 15 years after. It's basically when that book takes place, right? So like 15 years, halfway between episode 6 and 7.
I think there's a young Rey in that book.
Yeah, there is. Yeah. So that means though that Dathan is a likely, like the science behind Dathan's birth is already in progress at this point in time, because the time that's needed for him to be born, grow up, become the age we see him to be, assuming there's no growth enhancements involved, and then have him die in that flashback scene or whatever, means that he should be born around now. So this Project Necromancer thing could in fact work out to being an origin story for Dathan and Palpatine's cloning sort of plan, right? That ends up getting moved to Exegol at some point in time.
Yeah, I think this is a much better, even though I did trash a little bit before, I think this is a much better storyline compared to what we got in the Battlefront 2 campaign with the project. I've forgotten. It was mentioned in Mandalorian as well.
Was it Cinder?
Operation Cinder. Well, I think Operation Cinder was the attack on the Imperial planet. But how this? I think this compares better compared to how Palpatine was put in that robot with the pre-recordings and everything. That's just how I see it. At least.
Yeah, those like Sentinel droids, which had like his face in the.
That's from the Aftermath trilogy.
Yeah. So like, yeah, for sure. But and like all this is supposed to be very secretive, very very hidden. So like not even people within the Empire would know what Project Necromancer is all about. That's definitely something to keep in mind. And when we're watching shows like The Mandalorian and like the Shadow Council, like bringing up Project Necromancer, like this is high ranking officials that like only sort of maybe some of them know about the project, but not all of them know what it is, right? Stuff like that, right?
I'm kind of curious what Palpatine's end goal is, because the first thing I thought of when while watching this episode and trying to put the pieces together was it started to feel a bit like that Apple Plus show. It was based on those novels.
Which show was that?
Man, what is it called?
Foundation.
Thank you. That's the one. Yeah, it seems like the Emperor from Foundation, where he's a clone of himself.
Yeah.
And it just keeps cycling through, but maybe Palpatine would move his consciousness between them.
Only I can live forever.
That's right.
Harry Potter. So I thought were you doing a Voldemort impression there?
Yeah, you got it.
Okay, good. I didn't know who it was.
It's always the big baddie wants to live forever.
That's
right. You know what I mean? They would never want to die. It's because they're that selfish.
Yeah, it's never some schmo on the street that wants to live forever. They want to like get out of there in 10 years time, but the baddies want to live.
They just don't have the means.
Yeah. The other thing that was brought up is midi-chlorian count. So M count, they're shortening it to M count. And I just thought that this was a really wise decision to put this in the show because it's a part of canon. It's a big part of why life exists in Star Wars. You know, without midi-chlorians, life would not exist.
Or whatever now, right?
Yeah. And so naturally it would play a big part in cloning and even in a bigger part for cloning Force user individuals.
Wait, no, 99.
Since 99, yeah.
25 years.
25 years
That's
anniversary for M count.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So I thought it was a really good idea. And, you know, more so hinting at the fact that Palpatine is trying to find a blood concoction of some kind that would help him build a vessel for himself that has the M count genes to support his power, right?
Right. Okay, this is just dawning on me now because I was wondering about this and I never put it together. So when they're doing the blood samples and the big wheel, wheel of blood, there's some blood that kind of trickles down into each one.
It's probably his blood.
That's what I'm wondering. So do you think they're seeing if the donor blood will be accepted?
Yeah, I think so.
Interesting.
Definitely. Yeah. I feel like they're trying to just see if the two blood types match or they're able to have a stable or whatever science.
If they're compatible.
You want to call it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I also find it matches the pattern with him needing Rey, right? So Rey is a girl, right? But all of his failed clones, which were all guys, you know, all males, like none of it worked. It almost like if you were to take a copy of something, copy it directly, it's never as good as the original version, right? Like it's like a file, like it constantly just gets like, you know, decompressed or like compressed and compressed and compressed because it's the same code over and over again.
Yeah.
But she's not like any of the other clones because she's a girl, right? So her code is different.
I'm going to poke a hole in your plan. What about the lady doctor that's doing the blood samples? Why wouldn't her blood work then?
Well, she's modified because she has genetic growth acceleration.
Okay.
But then also there might be other things about her that are incompatible because she's, you know, a modified clone.
Too old she is.
Yeah. And, you know, it's like there's obviously got to be some magic match going on here. Like, you know, maybe she was a higher chance of it working out. Maybe it didn't work out, right? So like
clearly Nala Se had an idea what was going on though.
Yeah, for sure. I think she knew that Omega would be compatible. And this is kind of what makes me curious is like maybe she was trying to make Omega like a Force capable clone, right?
Like
initially.
Like the Lego show.
I never watched that, but
they made a Force sensitive clone.
So like with Dathan, right? Like with Dathan being a failed clone of Palpatine, which is crazy to think that that's what Palpatine looked like when he was young. But he ends up going out having a kid after he's basically released into the wild, so to speak. And Palpatine's grand plan. Palpatine has the knowledge that this guy would be able to produce a vessel that would be worthy, right? So Palpatine already knows something when he has Dathan and decides to release him into the galaxy and then have him followed.
I feel like that was a happy coincidence because I don't think Palpatine would have expected that or else he would just sent.
Well, otherwise he wouldn't have known, right? Like if they just let him go, and because I think in the book it revealed that like they more or less let him go, but if they just let him go and literally just didn't care and he ends up having a kid, like Palpatine would never know about that, right? So like he knows that Rey exists, like he knows through the whole, and this is the stupid story that I always find kind of ridiculous to believe that Palpatine knows that Rey is around and is a thing the entire trilogy, right? But that's sort of the whole grand plan, I guess, is that like
See, I have a hard time believing that part because if it's a grand plan, why didn't he just use Dathan's DNA and use a lady's DNA and just make a tube baby? Or
right. Well, okay, yeah. So
bring women in to be impregnated.
And that is a episode 9 debate, an issue that I like. I mean, obviously,
he's the emperor.
That's a really good point, though, right? Like that's a really good point. There's a lot of like things I could throw at that and go like, well, this would have been a better idea. But
like, I think the only explanation is he didn't know, and then he figured it out once it took place.
Yeah. Maybe he hadn't followed and then realized like, oh,
and that's why because like he was hunting Rey, and that's when they hit her. either.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's likely the point where he figured it out.
Maybe. But yeah, I find there is something there that is pattern-like with the fact that like it's now Omega's also like a key to his continuous lifespan, right? So it seems like he's consistently reliant upon something other than clones of himself to stay alive, and that's sort of maybe it's the Force fighting back, right? Something like that. But that was a really cool part of the story that I liked a lot. And, I hope we get more answers in regards to that, which I'm sure we will. It's the final season. So
because that's still the explanation for Anakin, right?
Yeah.
They haven't changed that?
Well, that was a Legends book, Darth Plagueis, talking about Anakin as chosen one, being born because the Force is fighting back. But
yeah. But they haven't. He's still canon being born, as in Shmi doesn't know what happened.
That's right. Yeah.
But they haven't said anything else, though, right? So that seems like it's still the most likely answer.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
This is all stuff that they need to recanonize or figure it out.
Yeah, for sure.
Leaving it.
Oh, that being said, there is to celebrate the re-release of The Phantom Menace in theaters, which is a piece of news that has been sparking up a lot of interest lately. I saw that Marvel is going to be doing a couple short stories bound in one comic volume, kind of preluding The Phantom Menace, and it's a bunch of things like Anakin's dream of freeing all the slaves and being a Jedi and stuff, and there's one about Shmi, I think, in there. There's one called The Tusken and the Gift or something like that. And then there's a few others, but like they're all kind of in relation to the Phantom Menace. So maybe there's some stuff in there that maybe we'll.
Yeah, it's a good opportunity for them to explore.
Sure.
So.
Yeah, totally. Let's talk these Lurka kennel shoots, Kirk. So when we were watching the episode, Kirk...
The theory I've been waiting for.
Oh yeah. So when we were watching this episode, I had a Nick here, a buddy of mine. He's been on the podcast before. And as they're like running down the tunnel, right? Like the security system's activated and all the ray shields are like activating one after the next behind them, like on their heels. And he was just like, why don't they just have one at the end that just turns on? It's just like I was like, man, like that is so true. But at the same time, it's just so ridiculous that these things are literally built for like essentially dogs, and they have like freaking 20 of them.
Yeah, like, they're like 50.
What's the likelihood that they'll even get through one?
And they all like sequentially went on in the absolute wrong order that they should have been turned on. Like they'll go, like should have gone from like back to front or from the entry on the outside to that way.
Oh, totally.
I thought that, like I genuinely thought that Crosshair was going to get stuck or something.
Oh yeah. I thought someone was gonna get stuck too. Like maybe that some like Omega would get stuck behind the last one or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, get separated.
Yeah,
or they'll be just the wrong place at the wrong time and just get cut in half.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. What were you saying before?
I guess not.
I was wondering. My thoughts are it comes from the inside out because that would be better to stop people trying to break in.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah,
but it still doesn't mean you can just turn them all on at once.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird, right? Like you can't.
Why does that tunnel even exist? Like, Why are they not bringing these animals in a separate door and they're just putting them in their cages? But no, they have to have a specific tunnel that goes.
It reminded me of
there to the.
It reminded me of Jurassic Park or Jurassic World, right? I think they have something similar in the Velociraptor cages or something like that. They've got like a
individual housing,
and then they have like a blast door sort of thing where they can let them out within like a larger other area, but then
space,
and they also all have like the neck collars and whatever else.
The difference is they have Chris Pratt.
Yeah. Yeah, but
yes, no way.
I thought that was just so funny that there's like 20 of those things. I was like, those literally just serve the purpose of this one scene.
Yeah,
and there's like no real good reason to have them.
They needed an excuse.
Yeah, they want to make it intense.
Yeah,
want to make it intense, right? But yeah, I would have like almost been inclined to have something else, like maybe some droid or the other dog get released, and those ones are the ones that are like vicious and like they're
bullying on the friend dog.
Yeah, like the ones that aren't aren't Batcher, and like they would come chasing them down the tunnel or whatever, and then the last ray shield gets activated, and then they get stopped, right? But like I don't know, there's like you could think of like 20 other good reasons other than like 50 ray shield walls.
You know, in the past how we've discussed how like there's tons of spin-offs of spin-offs now.
Yep.
Do you know what would be an interesting story? Well, we had Rogue One, which was a spin-off to tell us a story about why there was an exhaust port in the Death Star. Well, there should be a spin-off movie to tell us why there was a tunnel that led to the outside of this base, a Star Wars story.
Here's another good question. Why was there no ray shield over the port for the Death Star? You know, like it's literally just like an open hole. There's no ray shield or anything.
It won't vent properly into space.
Well, we can't ask Galen Erso now because he's gone.
That's a good point. Right. So what else? What else about this episode do we like?
I love that they actually had Ian McDermott voicing Palpatine.
Oh, that was really cool.
I noticed immediately. I'm like, oh, they got him.
Yeah, I know he's spoken extensively about that last year at Celebration. They got Ian McDermott on stage a number of times and asked him about the Bad Batch and Rebels, because he was in Rebels as well. And at one point,
for the
last few seasons, actually, I think it was the whole show because
not the. I know for sure it wasn't the very beginning because that was Sam Witwer.
Right, not the first episode.
Yeah,
but like the rest of it, whenever he showed up, which I think was just season 3 and 4, maybe.
Yeah, it was pretty late.
Yeah,
they just had Vader through most of that show.
Yeah, exactly. But it was cool that now that they've been bringing him back into the fold, now that like the Emperor is kind of gone, it's like extra gone with the sequel trilogy, right? Like, but who knows, right? Like maybe without episode 9, maybe they wouldn't have brought him back at all, because don't forget all these appearances, other than that Rebels finale appearance, all the appearances he's made have been post episode 9. So like maybe that reinvigorated the whole partnership, the whole working relationship there of bringing Ian back for like these small things.
Yeah, it could be. Because I mean, at the point of Rise of Skywalker coming out, I feel like Dave Filoni had moved up the ladder a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So he was able to talk more directly with Ian, and then he's like, oh yeah, I would do voice acting, and here we are.
Yeah, for sure. The next episode is called...
Oh, wait, I have a question to that. Yeah. Because I kept thinking he was there, and then it wasn't. Where's Sam Witwer?
What do you mean? In the show?
Yeah, because he was in Clone Wars all the time. And then
they'll find a good spot for him, I'm sure.
And then Rebels, was he only Maul?
He was Maul and
Palpatine for the very first episode. But
yeah, I think you're right. I think he was only Maul. He's been exclusively Maul for a while now.
Because in Clone Wars, he played lots of stuff.
Did he?
I thought he did. Am I crazy?
Well, I thought it was Maul and the Sun, and that was it.
And the Sun
for Mortis.
I thought he did more than that.
I don't know. Yeah, maybe we'll see him come back. Who knows? It'd be cool to see him back.
Yeah, I always liked him. Keep Starkiller around.
Yeah. The next episode is called A Different Approach. Comes out next week on February 28th. And I'm hoping that we just continue where we left off, because this particular story is fantastic. Anyone got any last minute things before we wrap it up here?
Yeah.
Do you ever think they'll... Sorry, I'll jump in there.
No, you go ahead. I paused and you came in strong, so you go first.
All right, that's what we're gonna do here. Do you think they'll ever call M count the midichlorian count, or they'll just keep it at whatever they keep calling it M
I've
count?
noticed they've called it M count on a number of occasions, including The Mandalorian. There was Dr. Pershing, I believe, also referred to midichlorians as M count at one point when they were talking about Grogu, if I'm not mistaken. I've definitely heard it in that show at least once. But I think it is maybe the new way to say the term that so many other fans tend to hate so much, right? Because there's a whole group of people out there that aren't necessarily on board with midichlorians, and maybe it's like the new accepted way. Yeah, like maybe it's like the new accepted kind of slang to shorten it so that it doesn't.
Hopefully, you don't notice.
Yeah, hopefully it doesn't bring back all the PTSD of midichlorians or something for these people.
Avoiding trigger words.
Yeah, trigger words. Yeah, it's like, if I say midichlorians, you think Jar Jar. Who knows, right? It's like that
but
psychological
Master Josh,
game.
what are midichlorians?
What's the oral nuts one?
Oh man,
it's cocaine. Something like that.
Drugs. No, it's heroin.
It's heroin. Yeah,
that's what it is.
Right.
But Master Qui-Gon, what are midichlorians?
It's heroin. Shout out to Oral Knots channel on YouTube for dubbing all the Star Wars movies, and it's great. Yeah, it's great.
Actually, I'm going to give another shout out to Oral Knots, because fun fact, when I was over at Orbit Key doing the Star Wars collaborations for the retro campaign, They composed the song for the Andor spot, and they were absolutely awesome. I can't remember the guys there, but yeah, they were really good. And they did the score for all the promo work off that because they did an amazing Andor promo, not like an Andor 1975, I think they called it, where they made the show like a TV intro from the 70s.
Yeah.
And then I saw that, and that was like really good inspiration for the retro video. So yeah, those guys are pretty awesome.
Yeah, they do good work over there. Yeah, still waiting for dub versions of the other sequels.
Did they do 7?
They did 7.
It's not 8 and 9.
No, yeah. Right then, fellas. I think that's pretty much it.
How long after Revenge of the Sith does this take place?
Well, season 1 picks up like right away because it's like this first episode is still Order 66, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
If I were to estimate,
It's got to be only a few years.
it's got to be like season 3. I would imagine is probably going to end around the 5-year mark.
Okay. It's actually farther than I thought, but still.
If I were to estimate.
Okay. Because I noticed that stormtroopers, they all have this new like early version armor.
Oh, that was
helmet.
introduced last season. Yeah, the proto trooper, right?
Yeah, exactly. But the Royal Guard already looked like the Royal Guard from episode 6.
Yeah, well, the Royal Guards looked like that since episode 3 or 2 even.
I thought they were blue.
No, well, in episode 1, I think we had blue ones. Those are Senate guards.
Okay.
But the Royal Guards have always been red, if I'm not mistaken.
This exact same look with the kind of red cowl.
Yeah, in episode 3, it was red guards at the door when Yoda walks in, and he just goes boom, and then they hit the floor.
I always thought they were blue.
Yeah, they're red. Yeah,
I'm colorblind.
Yeah, the design's been around for a while. But
okay, well, never mind then, because I was thinking it's weird that they transitioned so fast, but everyone else.
Yeah, I think that's because they're not clones necessarily all the time, right? Well, actually, that's not true. That's not true. They were clones. Yeah, they were clones, and then eventually they transitioned out of that. And there was that book that we read called Lords of the Sith, which there was like one clone or something that was like
still left.
Yeah, still left, but then all the other ones weren't.
Is that the one? Is that the book where Darth Vader and Palpatine fight all those bugs in the tunnels, and then Darth Vader is building toys and Palpatine's like dancing with children around a fire or something?
Yes, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah. I think
what? I need references to this. What have I been seeing out on?
That's Disney canon.
That's not word for word what happened, but
I'm sure it's not 100% accurate, but I remember something vaguely like this.
There was a moment where that Palpatine tried to kill that little Twi'lek girl, and then Vader like saved her.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, so Palpatine's dancing around the fire with kids, and then he killed the Twi'lek girl?
Well, Darth Vader's making toys.
He wasn't dancing. He was there. He was present as the Twi'leks were having a campfire.
He was doing
I'm getting
something.
mixed messages here.
I can't remember exactly what he was doing, but I'm sure he was doing something there. I remember
Vader,
something weird. That I'm like, why is this happening?
Yeah, there was a bunch of people around a campfire or something, or a bonfire, and they were having some sort of event or dinner or whatever, and they were witnessing the event, and that was.
We gotta look up this quote now.
I can't remember where it was in the book, but
it's near the end.
Yeah. But yeah. Anyways, clones. Just so we can wrap it up here. We're at an hour and 30. Royal Guards. The design consistent. Proto Stormtroopers. If I were to take a swing at guessing what's going to happen with these guys, I think they're going to change the design by the end of season 3. I think time is going to be accelerated forward halfway through the season, maybe, and we're going to get the redesign of the Stormtrooper at some point in this show. And Bad Batch season 3 is going to be the full circle, bringing us into the time period of Jedi Survivor, which in that show, I think we do have stormtroopers, like full-fledged armored stormtroopers.
Once we hit Rebels, it's proper stormtroopers.
Oh, that's way later. Yeah, that's even after Kenobi and stuff. But like early days, Jedi Survivor is probably the biggest like staple story on screen that we know of.
Oh yeah,
and that's stormtroopers in that game. So yeah, if I said like Bad Batch season 3 is going to end at the 5-year mark, it means that those stormtroopers have to transition at that point, or maybe not. Maybe we get both of them floating around for a while. Who knows, right? But that's just my estimation. So All right. I think that's all we got. So also, we haven't talked about it yet, but I did want to throw out a notable, just because it's still the same month and I didn't want it to get too far. But obviously, we had a huge loss this month with Carl Weathers, who was a legendary actor. You know, a lot of people know him from the Rocky series or
Predator.
Predator, yeah, Predator as well. The legendary GIF handshake with Arnie.
Yeah, man, I still use use that?
I use it all the time. Apparently, he was such a nice guy.
Arrested Development, he was also very popular on.
Everyone who knows him was so, just like he's such a respectful human being. You know, he was well respected by his peers and by his coworkers. And
such a genuinely good person.
Yeah, and like one of those Hollywood actors that like you watch and like on the behind the scenes and interviews and whatever else, and like they don't have that ego about them or anything like that. They're just like, I don't know, it's like you're a good person. You know what I mean? Like
I got similar vibes from Danny Trejo at the Expo the other day. People they just have this aura of like you can just chat with them and they're just gonna be like normal people.
Right.
Some A-list actors, like they almost seem unapproachable. You know what I mean? Like they just live in another world.
Yeah, totally. Carl, Kirk, what do you remember of Carl Weathers? What?
Happy Gilmore was like a huge part of my childhood. I remember. I think I watched that movie. I had an iPod Nano, or like the first one with like the screen, like it was like a 2-inch screen or something. And I watched Happy Gilmore like 30,000 times, I reckon, on that thing. And yeah, that's where I first remember Carl Weathers from. And I've only just rewatched like the Rocky series as well as he's just got such a good presence in Mandalorian. And I was actually rewatching the Disney Gallery, maybe not Disney Gallery, the behind the scenes of Mandalorian season 1, and he's quite prevalent in a lot of those interviews. And like what you guys are saying, he's seems like such a gentle soul and such a nice person. And I always enjoyed listening to hearing him talk as well. So it was a big shock.
Yeah, big shock. And he directed a few episodes too here and there. I think he directed 1 or 2 in
Mandalorian.
Yeah,
right?
Mandalorian. Yeah, exactly. So.
Also, I didn't realize he was an ex-NFL player.
Yeah, he was an ex-BC Lions player.
It was CFL? CFL, okay.
Yeah.
Football.
And so he played for our local team. And
that's crazy.
He was in Vancouver last year at Fan Expo. So thankfully I was there at that one and got to see his panel and got to watch him answer fan questions and watch him talk. And he was just such a genuine guy, standing up there and just really appreciative of all his fans and, people like loving what he's done in his career. And so it's a loss to Star Wars fans, to fans of Carl Weathers. And I just wanted to throw that out there before we finish the month of February. So here's to Carl Weathers.
Here.
All right. Thank you guys for coming on the show. And naturally, we'll see you in the next one for Bad Batch Season 3, Episode 4 After Show coming out next week.
Crazy. It's weird. It's technically Episode 4.
Yeah.
Return to Pabu.
Oh, no.
Nope.
Pabu strikes back.
Hopefully there's no Pabus in this entire show going forward. But all right, Kirk.
Pabu,
thanks so much, man.
Reckoning.
And
thanks for having me again.
Oh wait, did we do Pablo Points and Poodoo for this episode, this third one?
I
don't think we did. Okay, 2 for me.
2 for me.
Yeah, I would say 2 because I know I did watch through these twice, and this one, even though it felt like it had some big reveals, it also was mostly action.
Yeah.
So the second time watching through wasn't as interesting actually as the first one, which just felt like a slow burn.
Yeah.
Anyway, but I agree with Kirk. All 3 of them together make it actually
a really good story,
cohesive story.
Yeah,
and all of them together, I'd probably give about 2.5.
A wise choice, airing them all together in one clump like that. That was good move. Yeah,
but it makes me worry that we're gonna get same thing as season 2, which is a huge opener that's awesome, and then nothing happens for 6 episodes, and then a really good closer.
Season 2 of what?
A Bad Batch.
The one that's already passed?
Yeah, that happened last year.
Oh, yeah.
Strong.
I was comparing to the previous one.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah, I see what you mean. Oh, well, it's the final season, so hopefully they don't waste any time.
Yeah, I'm hoping for Clone Wars Season 7.
Yeah,
it's just all action.
Yeah. All right, guys, we'll catch you in the next one.
We'll see you out there. Keep flying.
All right. Thank you to our audience. Thank you for listening, and thanks so much to our volunteer guests, all our friends joining up on these after shows and recent episodes. I mean, definitely go check those out. We had our Star Wars Day Behind the Blast Doors episode, so make sure you go check that out, as well as the others that we dropped in January. They've been great. We've had some really great special guests on recently. Go and subscribe on YouTube. You can find us with the handle at SW Escape Podcast on Twitter and YouTube. Our Instagram is now closed And you can send us an email, swescapepodcast@gmail.com. Definitely tune in on any platform of your choice. We are everywhere across the galaxy. And join the Discord. We love 5 stars, so make sure you leave some of those as well if you're on Spotify and Apple. And we will see you in the next episode. May the Force be with you.